Kennedys to American royalty, and although Ike was clear about his VP's personal deficiencies, he figured Dick had a point. Ike had been depressed by Nixon's loss, considering it the biggest defeat of his life. He had essentially trained Nixon to be an able shepherd of his well-crafted strategies, and he trusted his vice president's acumen in foreign policy. He felt guilty that he had not campaigned harder for Nixon, and the press had picked up that theme, making it appear that Ike was less than enthusiastic about Nixon's candidacy. What no one fully appreciated was that it had been Nixon's choice to keep Ike out of it, preferring to run as his own man. He didn't want to be seen as Ike's boy. Nixon also wildly underestimated the challenge Kennedy presented. He was thrilled when Kennedy was nominated, beating out the more formidable Hubert Humphrey. Nixon was confident that he could whip this Senate lightweight. He even believed, or was deluded, that his running mate, Henry Cabot Lodge, Jr., whom Kennedy had defeated to win his Massachusetts U.S. Senate seat in 1952, might help Nixon take his opponent's home state. While overconfidence surely played a role in Nixon's decision to sideline the president, Ike also had a nagging feeling that Nixon didn't fully trust him to be on his side, owing to an incident that occurred at the end of his first term. As Ike was planning his campaign for re-election, he'd called Nixon into the Oval Office. He told him that he wasn't sure the vice presidency was the best platform from which to start a successful presidential campaign, if that's what Nixon wanted to do in 1960. He suggested an alternative, a cabinet post that might be a better launch pad. Nixon was shocked and suspicious. Was Ike trying to dump him from the ticket? The president was adamant that this was not his wish. He was merely offering Nixon a choice in plotting his future. It was entirely up to him. Nixon quickly decided to stick with the vice presidency, but Ike felt he never quite got over his suspicions. So when 1960 rolled around, Nixon kept Eisenhower on the sidelines, even though the president's popularity was quite high. He didn't bring him into the campaign, and when Ike tried to advise him not to do a televised debate with Kennedy, he didn't listen, to his peril. Ike was traveling and didn't see or hear the debate until later. Then he was disheartened by what he saw. The debate was so devastating for Nixon that JFK's mother, Rose Kennedy, said she felt sorry for Nixon's mother and briefly wondered if she should call her to offer condolences. When Eisenhower finally took to the trail in the desperate last week of the campaign, as the polls showed the candidates running neck and neck, he was disheartened to see signs at his rallies, "We like Ike, but we back Jack." At large rallies, Ike attacked the Kennedy clique of young, so-called brilliant men, and said he was terribly tired of hearing America run down by them, of hearing their brassy and boastful words, and watching their bumbling actions. Ike was so effective on the stump that Kennedy grew worried. "With every word he utters, I can feel the votes leaving me," he told his friend Paul Red Fay. "It's like standing on a mound of sand with the tide running out. If the election were held tomorrow, I'd win easily, but 6 days from now, it's up for grabs." Now, with the election over, Ike was left to ponder the impact of the loss, and he was a bit annoyed at his vice president, who took a little too long, he thought, to concede. Upon Kennedy's victory, Ike had immediately sent a congratulatory telegram, and then had been forced to have his press secretary, Jim Haggerty, call the Kennedy people and ask them to withdraw it and not say anything about it, because Nixon hadn't yet conceded. A replacement telegram was sent the following day. In defeat, Ike wasn't interested in wallowing in personal resentments. That had never been his way. He understood campaign rhetoric. If he was offended by the characterization of Kennedy as a fresh exemplar of the new frontier, and of himself as a doddering relic of the past, he kept it to himself. The question was, how much of Kennedy's campaign talk represented his true sentiments? Did he really believe that the United States was experiencing